networking webinar, and today we have the opportunity to have Heather Picken with us today, and we're really glad to have you here. I recognize some names. We have Sherilyn down in Salem, and Terry Vasquez, who's out in Colorado Springs, I believe, in Colorado. So we have a variety of people already on the webinar. I just want to remind you, on that sidebar that you see to the right of your screen, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. And Heather said, welcome to all of you. And Marilyn says, hi Heather, we're looking forward to hearing you. If you have a question that's relevant while Heather's speaking, I'll go ahead and ask her. Otherwise, we'll make sure all your questions get answered after Heather's done. So I just wanted to let you know that it's I Take the Lead who puts on these networking webinars. We are based out of Portland. We are in several states. And you get my information at the end. You get a replay. And so if you have any questions, if you happen to be in an area of the country where I Take the Lead's not at, you can always touch bases with me. Or if you are in one of the states where I Take the Lead's at and you're interested in checking out a group, then go ahead and contact me. It's just Becky, B-E-C-K-Y, at itakethelead.com. We provide a lot of value-added benefits to our members, and I know our members love us. So Heather happens to be one of our special guest speakers in the Seattle area. She's also come down to the Portland area and spoken here to a couple different meetings, and she was out in the Denver area as well speaking. So we're really, really excited to have her today because she's going to teach us how to attract our clients more easily. So Heather, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you, if that's okay.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Becky. I was having a lot of fun in the chat box.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So if anyone, I love interaction, so I know Becky said if you guys have questions or you're having a struggle, please type your question or your situation in the chat box, and either Becky will interrupt me in between, or we'll just do it at the end. I like to kind of have like a free flow with how things go. So just welcome everyone, grab your favorite beverage, take notes. Today I'm going to be talking about, I love this subject, how to ignite what I call your money mojo and attract more clients easily. So we're just going to dive right into this, and let's see here. Oops. Okay. So some of the things that you'll be learning today, the number one secret why most business owners and sales professionals never hit their income goals. So, we're right into the new year. Actually, we're breezing along, and, ask yourself, are you really where you want to be? And other things that I'm going to be teaching on this webinar, simple what I call client attraction secrets, and also mistakes. So there are huge mistakes that people are making that are actually repelling money, okay? So I definitely, guys, I want you to know that. Okay, so I really want to connect with those people that maybe you're not familiar with me. I know we probably have some people from Seattle, maybe you heard me speak in Portland, but for those of you that don't know my story, I think it's really important to just share kind of really quick my experience with money and attracting clients. I was in this place of what I call scarcity, and not, my money, I should say my money ruled my emotions. And every time that happened, it seemed like I would get unexpected bills. Check in to see if you're doing that every time that you're triggering an emotion around money. It seems like something else, comes up that negatively impacts your business, and that was exactly my story. I had huge debts. I mean, I was deeply in debt to the fact where I was living off my credit cards. I was in the freak out mode. And it seemed like the more I started focusing on trying to pay off my debt, it got further and further away from me, right? And I was this huge I should say just, the opposite of attracting clients, just repelling them. And so that became my story over and over again. And, my huge breakthrough moment was really a shift in my focus. And I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later. Hiring a mentor, that was really key because I got myself into a real deep, dark place where, it's kind of like you're having what I call that holy crap moment, like, holy crap, how did I get here? And something has to change. And so my life changed in one moment. It was where I really had to make some big decisions. And at the time I was living with a boyfriend. He threw me out. I had everything that I owned in trash bags. There in the middle of the night, I told myself, I really have to find a better way. I've got to make this work. And so a week later, found a mentor. This mentor was more money to invest in this person than I'd ever made in a year. But I knew that I had to do something. I knew that there had to be kind of this secret to really aligning what I really wanted, because what I was doing, I was attracting all the wrong things. So if you're attracting what you don't want, right now, or not attracting the right clients, just know that you're really good at attracting. It just might not be, exactly what you want. And so, a lot of times you can't get out of your own way, and that was me. I could not get out of my way, and so I decided to take a big leap of faith, even when I did have the money. So I always like to say, never make a decision based on money. Always make the decision from a place of where you want to be, because you have to look at it this. It's never an expense, it's an investment. So when you're investing in yourself, the intention is that you have the strategy to make that money back, and that's exactly what I did. So within 6 months, in my business, that was years ago, I generated 100,000 with, went from 0 to 100,000 in 6 months, and then went up from there. And what I love about talking about, you may have heard about the law of attraction. I like to talk about quantum physics and, of course, neuroplasticity in the brain. I'm going to kind of combine all of this today in the talk. But a significant point in this story, and I think it's really cool how our thoughts do really affect our reality. So when I was getting into the flow of my business, and this is where I call my money mojo was fully activated. And I was listening to the song Don't Stop Believing by Journey. I love that song. And I swear to God, I was the one that, if you go to the YouTube channel with their song Don't Stop Believing, it's got 1 million hits. I probably have all 1 million of them or even more. But I would listen to that song every day. That really helped me to put myself in the flow of money. And I thought, as I was making money in my business, things were changing. I really want to tell Steve Perry, the lead singer of Journey, that he really impacted my life. Like, this totally changed me. And so I Googled, where does Steve Perry live? And it was just so funny because I found out that he lived in Del Mar, California. And I thought, well, what are the chances of me, meeting him? And I didn't really think too much of it. And then this is really interesting because 4 hours later, I got an email out of the blue that said, you have won a 2-night stay to a resort in Del Mar, California. I thought they were joking. And I love telling that story, Becky, and I know you've heard it, but it is so funny when people hear that story. I'm like, are you kidding? Just today, Becky, I had this vision, and this is how I really help people, not only for myself, but I help other clients really activate what I call their money mojo. I said, I really want to be published online, more for, entrepreneurs, Entrepreneur Magazine. And what 10 minutes later, I get an email from someone that had a magazine that wants to publish me. And I'm like, this is how it works. This is how it works. And I love it. And even when I had my fitness business, so my first business, I had a fitness business. And I was looking online one day. I was actually, there's a software program called fitday.com where you can enter your food in. And there was a Google ad down below. And it said, I think it said like the Wall Street Journal or New York Times. And I thought, gosh, I would love to have my business in the New York Times. Now, a week later, I get a client that comes up to me at my boot camp, and she said, Heather, do you know you're in the New York Times?
Oh my word. Oh.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're kidding me. And she emailed me a copy of the newspaper. She photographed it or found it online, but it was, my story was actually in the print newspaper of the New York Times. So my book, my boot camp was featured. And it was just what I call a miracle. I mean, how do things work that way? And I almost have to say you have to be very careful in what you put out there because things can happen very quickly. So I love sharing stories like that, and I'll share some of my case studies with clients as well because I think it's really powerful. Okay, so let's talk about the first secret, and I call this mind over money. So you might have heard mind over matter. I'm going to call this mind over money. And I want to talk about briefly how the mind works to keep you stuck. There's something that's called the ego, and the ego actually it does serve a purpose. It does keep you safe, and you tend to rationalize decisions and that sort of thing. But there also is a problem with your mind because it takes those past memories, those perceived past failures, and it will stop you from really taking action in what you really want to do, right? So whether it be investing in yourself, whether it be really putting yourself out there in a bigger way in your business, if you're someone that doesn't like speaking and you feel really fearful about it. I mean, there's so many programs that are keeping people stuck. I mean, maybe you're thinking, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to attract more clients, or my business is really slow, or I don't want to be in that same place this year as I was last year. And that really creates a story for yourself. And if one of the first things is really identifying what that story is, because I find all day long when I'm talking to clients, when they first come to me, they've got all these stories, like no wonder why you're stuck, because you're focusing on everything that's not working, and just know that it's a program, because in your brain you really you start creating these neural networks that wire and fire every time that you elicit a thought of, let's just say, I can't attract clients, right? No one wants to buy my products or services. This is too hard. So I really want you guys to be aware every time that you say that. And identifying specific money blocks is really critical. So I don't know what your specific money block is. Typically, I find the clients that I work with, either they've been stuck for a while, so they're stuck, they're really or they're struggling. So it's either stuck or struggling. Like, I can't seem to go to the next level of my business. Like, I have no idea what's keeping me stuck. I'm marketing, I'm going to networking meetings, like I take the lead, and I don't know what's going on. And so we need to identify what the specific money blocks are. Asking yourself, are you holding yourself back? What are you resisting the most doing? So I know so many people have issues picking up the phone and calling people. I was actually, the day after Christmas, I picked up the phone because I love talking to people. I love connecting with people and, just having conversations. Like, I don't care what time it is because I know I can really help someone. And so you have to ask yourself, am I resisting doing that? Is that a block? If you know you have 40 people in your database that you haven't connected with or that you need to reconnect with, why are you not calling them? And I would tell you, most people don't like to do that because they feel it's the program of, I feel salesy, I'm bothering them. And, you just really have to understand what that block is. So many people, even people that have experience in sales, have the same issue, I find. And so we just need to find out, what that program is. And really, once you do, you really become on fire. I'm all about getting people on fire, inspired, and doing what they love. And that's, whatever your product or service is. So we need to identify that. Why it's so hard to get out of your fear around money. I will tell you, we have been taught as a society that there's scarcity, right? One of the first things that I always recommend is, don't watch the news. Do not turn that on. Yes, there are ways that you can find out what's going on with the world, but when you get into the fear of not only what's going on out there, but the people you're surrounded with. So do not talk to your colleagues or your significant others about your money issues, right? That injects the fear. Or listen to other people's stories around money. So when people come to me and they start telling me their story around money, of course I have to hear it, but then I like to stop them because it's not helping them. So your story is not helping you. And as I said before, you are programmed. It's almost like well, you want to think about like a crack addict. It's kind of a severe example, but it's so true. That's what happens in your brain. You create a chemical addiction in your brain that loves the drama, that loves the story. And it's so easy to trigger yourself, getting fearful around bills and money and all of that. And, the first step in this process is really understanding and identifying, what is my block? Is this a past trigger? Yes, it is a past trigger. And what I can do to overcome this, so a lot of times people go into the fear, doubt, worry, and disbelief of, I can't pay this bill, or why is this happening to me? And again, every time that you run that story, you run that pattern, you get stuck. So how do you expect to attract more money and more clients when you keep doing that to yourself? It's so simple, yet so powerful. So sometimes I have to kind of wake people up, shake them up, going, wait a minute, stop this story. It's not helping you. So I want to share a case study with a client. Laurie came to me. She was struggling in her business, and she came from the corporate world. So this woman was smart. I mean, she was surrounded and working with very high level people, and it was interesting because it was mostly men, and she had this very high level position in this company. And so when she came to me, she started her own business, struggling for years. I mean, she got to that place of where, I don't know if I should still stay in this business. Like, I love what I do, but I need to bring in some income for my family. And I totally get, where people are so amazing at what they do. They offer a fantastic product or service, yet they can't seem to get out of their own way. And so she, was one of just this great demonstration of, it doesn't matter, how smart you are. A lot of times people get in their own way. So she was struggling. She knew it. We really identified the specific block. Now for her biggest block, I mentioned earlier about the sales, she really had a hard time picking up the phone, having a conversation. And when I work with clients, I really help them to create a very powerful conversation where they feel confident and they can, sell whatever they want. It's really serving. I look at it that way. So we just kind of shifted the way that she looked at selling her products and services. And that really helped her to feel confident, and that she was of value. So a lot of people, they don't value themselves. And I will say that when you value yourself, the whole world will value you. It really is simple as that. And another thing that we worked on is I had her visualize her success. Now, you might have heard of this before. Yes, visualize what you want. She really practiced this every single day and really connecting to her vision and how she wanted to serve people. And I will tell you this, when you've got a big vision that you want to impact the world, I really believe that in order to take your business to the next level, you have to have a global vision. That's exactly what she had. And because she was connecting that, she found it easier just to pick up the phone, and things were shifting for her big time, rapidly. And so what was really awesome is that she quadrupled her income, in just a very short amount of time. So she was struggling, to really making a six-figure income. And that's what I love what I do. I get paid to do what I love, and that's really about getting people out of their own way and giving them those strategies. And now she's doing tours all across the country with her work, and she's getting out there and just being a great example. Okay, so I want to talk about secret number 2, and this is what I call activating your money mojo. So I talked about my funny little stories. I love stories. The journey story, and just the story of how I got into the New York Times. I mean, all day long, it's kind of crazy when I think about it, but when I am aligned, I can totally attract things like I like to say, out of the blue. And I love showing people how to do that through unleashing. It's part law of attraction. It's part knowing how your brain works. Knowing how you can change the neuroplasticity of your brain, and really creating the kind, or I should say, attracting the kinds of clients that you want. So how do you activate your money mojo? What is that? It is when you are in the flow. So if you could just imagine, there is a side of your business, you're either in the flow or you're forcing something. And when you're forcing something, I guarantee you're not living true to your values in your life and your business. So I find that all the time. And it looks like I should do this, I have to do this. You're doing things, that are just not a match for you. When you're in the flow, that's when your mind literally opens up and you activate what I call the executive center in your brain that allows you to attract these ideas and money that seem like it's out of the blue. So like, let's just say before you're marketing, you're doing social media, you're networking, and nothing's happening. It's because you're operating on the side of force. So when you're in the flow, everything just aligns. Like the action seems easy. So I find a lot of times when people are really pushing things to happen, I say, wait a minute, you just need to let go. Not saying that you're not going to take action, but sometimes you need to tweak things that you're doing, and it really starts with your thought process. So it starts with, instead of thinking about what you don't want, I want you to start focusing on what you do want. Yes, it sounds so simple, but people are so wired to think negatively, and you really have to be aware of that. So when the money mojo is really about being in the flow and being able to have those powerful conversations. So let's just say you are in a networking meeting or you're on a sales call, and when you're in the flow, the person says, how can I work with you? Oh, I'd love to know more about your products or services. So it's everything about showing up powerfully. Activating your money mojo. Okay, everyone here have unwanted bills?
Yeah.
What about those unexpected bills? I sound like an infomercial. There's more. I have this process called bill alchemy, and it works every single time, and I teach my clients how to do the same thing. I like to have fun. Now, if anyone has ever heard me speak, or if they're around me, if they really, really know me, I'm about the goofiest person you'll ever meet. I'm a serious person, but then I've got this incredibly silly side of me. And I realized by really taking that unique gift of my inner silliness and really using that with money, when an unexpected bill comes up, it really allows people to shift around the negative emotions with money. And so here's what I want you to do. And I did this recently. I'm going to share a recent story with you. Recently, I got a traffic violation for turning I wasn't supposed to turn left or what. I didn't see the sign. And so I got pulled over, and I was not happy. I'm like, are you kidding me? And of course, the police officer would not let me explain. And I sat there for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, Heather, just relax. Everything is okay. And, the ticket was like $125, not fun. And I went home, and so what I did is I took the bill. You can make a photocopy of it, or if you don't have to send it in. And I took the amount, and what I usually do for me, because what my whole intention is trying to manifest money coming from another source, so attracting money from a different source than my regular income. And so I multiplied it by a number that I thought was doable, and then I wrote thank you on it. And then typically what happens with 24 to 48 hours, I always have money coming in from an unknown source. And so when these things happen with clients, it's really about having them shift their thoughts and their feelings on something, that will help them to create more money, right? Or, I don't know how this happens, it just happens. So take your unexpected bills. I actually did this with a huge tax bill that I had to pay one year. It was huge, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got to be the student here. I've got to apply what I'm teaching, and sure enough, it works. So this is a little fun game that you can play. So the more light you are around money, the easier you're going to be able to shift. And a lot of financial advisors say, don't, especially Warren Buffett says, do not get emotional around money. You really have to be neutral around it. So I love that little exercise. And how do you become unstoppable in money and manifesting? This is all about aligning your thoughts and feelings to what you want. And what happens in your business, this will happen so many times, is that you have a challenge. You come up with a challenge, right? So a person says no, right? They say no to your offer or your product. And so where do you go? Many times people go to the place of, I just want to hide. I want to hide out. And I'm telling you, you've got to be able to break through that, because if you don't, then you become misaligned. And so you really have to break through that. You have to become unstoppable. Here's a little tip and strategy when you find things are not aligning up your way, is I want you to say the simple word next.
Next.
Client doesn't sign up, they don't want to buy your product or service. Next. What that does, it shifts you immediately. I'm going to give you an example. I had a client this happened to. They were doing a presentation. They said they gave a great presentation, and they were they were kind of beating up on themselves. I said, you need to say next, right? They just felt like, wow, no one wanted to connect with me or whatever. So she got in her car and she said, well, I had to do a call anyways. She had a sales call. That call in her car, because she said next, she ended up receiving $8,000.
Oh, wow.
So this is the power. I love teaching this because we can get so caught up in the freak out moments. I like to call it a freak out moment. And you just really need to let go. So that simple word next will allow you to see the potential and possibilities. And so the mind is really, so if the mind is focused on the no sale, oh, I didn't get that, and you're beating yourself up, it's really hard for you to be aligned. So any challenge, and I'll say perceived challenge, because the path of being an entrepreneur or sales person, you're going to experience both pleasure and pain. So you've got to be able to embrace both in order to be profitable. So just knowing that, going into it, feeling inspired, and being able to use these little techniques and strategies will really help you along the way. Okay, so I want to share a case study of a client, Denise, and she's from Australia, and she was struggling in her business online for years. I work with a lot of clients all over the world. I love it. It's so much fun meeting, people that have the same issues and challenges. And she was awesome. She's like a leader, a trainer. I mean, she's done so much in her life, but yet her business was stuck. And she was tired. She was sick and tired of being stuck. And that's where people, they typically contact me like, I really want to play a bigger game. Like, this is not acceptable. And so we really looked at what her specific blocks were. So she really felt that, that there wasn't a solution. And so part of the problem is when you think there's not a solution, that closes your mind off to any possibility, right? And so you really need to allow your mind to be open to receive those new ideas, clients, information, whatever that is. And so I really told her, I said, you really need to make a decision based on where you want to be and not where you're at right now. You really need to create your business from that place. And so she said, I really want to work with you. And I love this because the magic of just making a decision from where you want to be, she received an email out of the blue, and a client, I love when this happens because that's the magic. The client signed up with her within 24 hours after committing to work with me. So, just making a decision of what you want to do and where you want to be. Like if there's something that would help your business and you have to, and notice I did not say the word spend. I'm saying the word invest. If you knew investing in that product or program or whatever could make an impact, do not limit yourself. Do not make a decision based on fear, but really the decision that you've got the strategy and that you're going to move forward. So that is a beautiful example of how she got out of her own way. Okay. I want to give you another case study, Jamie. So Jamie, actually, she's a new client that came to me. Again, she's had that freak out moment, and she was running out of money. She's like, gosh, my bank account is running out. She hit her breaking point, which a lot of people do. And again, she's another person that just decided to take action from where she wanted to be, not where she was at right now. And because she did that, she made the money back within 48 hours. And I said, yeah, that's the magic when you're really making a decision. So ask yourself right now, what decisions are you holding off for yourself that could really move your business forward? And I'm really challenging every single person on this training to do it. Now is the time. Don't waste any time. Don't overthink it. You just got to go for it. If you want to be in the flow. Another quick case study, Pam, she was struggling to keep her business afloat. And she had a bad relationship with money, which a lot of people do. They think really negatively about money. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. It's just a struggle to keep. More money is going out than coming in. And one of the things that we did is really helped her focus on her ideal clients. So if you haven't done this exercise, if you have clients right now that are a pain, they're probably not your ideal clients. I really want you guys to focus on who those clients are. What characteristics do they have? Do they pay you on time? Do they refer you to other people? When you get clear, it's amazing what you can get. It's like going into the restaurant, and if you're ordering food and they bring back snails, unless you like snails, I don't know about
yeah,
I don't like snails. You have to be specific in what you're placing. I want a chicken breast. I want some broccoli. I want salad. I want dressing on the side. Yes, that's what I order. But however you want to order it, you really need to be clear and specific. I'm going to take a quick drink here. And so what was really amazing is that we didn't even focus on the marketing. So part of what I do with clients as well is I create marketing funnels, online and offline, really in-depth and intricate. We didn't even work on that. We solely focused on her relationship with money. And we just hit the tip of the iceberg. And she increased her business by 40%. It took about 3 months to do that. And what was really great is that she had the best month in her industries when others had failed. So her industry at that month, I think it was like the month of January, where typically people had the lowest of the low, she was soaring, and people were like, what is your secret? What are you doing?
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like when Harry met Sally. I'll have what she's having.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the biggest quotes that I absolutely love is whatever you focus on will grow. I had a mentor years ago that said this. I remember taking a picture of it with my phone because I was in my own way. I kept focusing, oh, what if this doesn't work? And she's like, you know what, Heather, whatever you focus on will grow. Why do you keep focusing on your failure? I'm like, oh my God, I am totally focusing on failing. And so I ask you, are you focusing on failure or are you focusing on success? As simple as it sounds, if you're not where you want to be, I can guarantee you you're focusing on failing. You're focusing on what's not working. And so being a successful business person, you always have to come from the place of solving problems. So if something's not working out, and focusing on what you do want. And it's really challenging for some people because they've been programmed for so many years with the doom and gloom kind of attitude. So now I want to talk about this is secret number 3, the biggest mistakes that I find a lot of people, business owners, sales professionals are doing that are actually repelling people. You don't want to repel clients, right? When you meet them.
Oh, absolutely.
And with networking, I find a lot of people don't know how to network properly. So one of the things that I do is I actually teach my clients how to network properly. And one of the biggest mistakes is anytime that you're meeting someone, do not shove your business card into someone's face, especially if they never asked for it. It's extremely rude, and it's a total disconnect, right? So you might be coming from a good place, but never do that. It is total misalignment, and people pick up on the energy. We've talking about energy and money. It is a subconscious or conscious thing, so everything is energy. And so if you're coming from that place of just shoving your business card in someone's face, they're not going to like it. And that's why I call coming from the need is greed. I think money is an awesome tool, so don't get me wrong. You'll never hear me say money is bad. But when you're coming from the need, it feels like greed for people. And what I mean by that is if you're focusing on a person and thinking, how can I get them to buy my product or service, they are going to, they're going to shut you down, right? And so if you want to be in alignment and really, really attract those clients that will, just say, yeah, I want what you have, think Harry Met Sally. You can't come from this place. You can't come from the needy place. So even if you have that, and I get clients like this, like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out when they come to me. I really need clients. I'm like, you've got to stop that. Stop that inner dialogue that says I need. So really go back to the place of being abundant, living abundantly, envisioning who you want to attract and being able to serve those clients and really being inspired with what you're offering. Oops. And let's see if there's one more thing I wanted to say about these mistakes. I would say just really when you're networking, and I know obviously if you're in I Take the Lead, you're doing a lot of that. This is probably the biggest thing is you don't want to be that person that is just calling someone up or meeting someone to, just to sell them something without really connecting with them, unless they ask for your card and they say, yes, give me a call. So just know if you're coming from the need or greed. If you need to pay your bills, you need to make some extra money, just do an inner check with yourself and ask, am I doing this?
Right. Well, that's the same, what I would call desperation. When you meet somebody who's desperate, it's like, it's so unattractive.
It really is. And Becky, years ago, I was at an I Take the Lead meeting, and this guy said, my ideal client is anyone with a pulse and a checkbook.
Oh, yeah.
And I was laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he was out of business, like 2 weeks later. So, yeah. Be very careful what
you ask for.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And so another thing I want to talk about, this is secret number 4, and I call this attraction action. And this is so simple, yet it's so powerful. Whatever gets measured gets improved. Now, I was working.
I love that.
This is where I got this. This is so funny. Working out. My best ideas come from working out and Starbucks. I always say, all great things happen at Starbucks. They're going to be using me in their PR campaigns. But anyways, I was working out, and I listened to these cheesy commercials that said, whatever gets measured gets improved. And I started laughing like, oh my, that is so true. Whatever gets measured gets improved. When I was a fitness professional years ago, I would do what you call a body fat composition. So I'd take their body fat, I'd assess their nutrition, and then a week later we would do the stats. Now those people that we consistently measured, we tracked and monitored the progress, got amazing results. And if we didn't track it for a while, it was interesting to see how they slipped. So one of the systems that I created that I just think is absolutely amazing is a system to show you what I call your money metrics. So when you're measuring things and you're taking action that's aligned, again, we want to make that sure that's aligned, your income goes up every single time. and I also call this, if we're putting quantum physics into this equation, is that whatever you observe, you tend to collapse that into the quantum field. Now, I'm not going to give you a lesson on quantum physics, but it is absolutely true. So if you're observing more sales and you're taking the action that demonstrates it, your income will double, triple, or quadruple. This simple principle alone will allow you to attract more clients. It's so redonkulously simple, but it works. And when you start tracking it, that's amazing. So years ago, when I did have my fitness business, my goal was to make $10,000 that for a month. And back then, it was a lot of money. And I'm sure today, it's still a substantial amount of money. And I started, just tracking everything. And at the end of the month, I made $9,997. And I was absolutely amazed. Now, here's the interesting thing. The next month, I didn't make that. Why? Because I didn't track it.
Oh, you quit tracking.
Yeah. So it's really incredible. And the fifth one is accelerate your income. How do you do that? Most business owners and sales professionals fail to meet their income goals. Here's why. Because you're not setting goals that are aligned with your values. And so everyone operates in what their highest values are. And axiology is actually a study in philosophy of value and worth. And so when you're looking in a business structure, getting to what they call the chief aim, or Napoleon Hill calls a chief aim, or whatever your objective is, or sales goal. Why aren't people doing that? Because they don't know how to set goals that are congruent. And it's so important when you're setting your goals, and this is what I teach people how to do. When I started creating the system for myself, I instantly, within 2 weeks, income just by setting goals that were aligned with who I was. And it's so important. And if you have employees, or if you're working with a sales team, one of the things that I facilitate is solely on values and how to identify your highest values, identify the people that you work with, their highest values, so that you can meet that sales objective or meet whatever goal that you have in your company. This is one of the most critical things that you can ever do for yourself. And so when people set these goals that are not congruent, they feel defeated. And so I'm saying, if you set these lofty goals last year and they didn't come true, it's only because you are not aligning your true self with, how you should really set goals. So I get people all day long saying, yeah, I want to make this much and like that, and then come time, taking the action, they're not really being congruent. And so when we set goals that are really aligned with who they are, they hit those numbers. They hit the numbers to the penny. That's how that works. So really knowing that is really key. This will increase your income very, very quickly if you do it this way. Some of the mistakes that I find people taking, there's 3 of them. They're not taking enough action. They're not taking the right action, or they're not taking any action, so fall into this. And again, it goes back to whatever gets measured gets improved. When I do the metrics and the money metrics, I've got this whole system that I teach on. When you look to see what your numbers are, like just by taking action alone, it drives you. It's like dangling the carrot. It drives you to attract even more. And a lot of people, they get so caught up in the minutia of what they should really be doing. So, the right action is, what are you doing that's high income producing? Are you going to networking meetings? That's high income producing. Are you picking up the phone and calling people that you haven't talked to in a while? It's so simple, yet it's so powerful. When I work with clients, that's one of the first things that we do. I have them go through their database, and they immediately get sales. It's so easy. It's so easy, yet people are not doing it. And so why are they not taking action? Well, their goals aren't congruent. They don't have a system to set up, and their mind is not aligned. So we've got a lot of problems. So just know that, which one are you falling into with that. So if you're not taking the right action, Get a plan, get a strategy that's going to give you the right action.
Well, that makes sense.
Absolutely. So now I want to share a quick study of a client, Daleen, and she was brand new to her business, and she wanted to create what I call celebrity status, and not a movie star status, but celebrity status in her own town. I said, well, what does that look like for you? Do you want to write for a newspaper? Do you want to be on TV there? She's like, oh, I'd really love to write. Love to write for my newspaper column. I said, well, what would that be specifically? So we got really specific and clear. And this is what I love. This is why I love doing what I do. I really helped her activate her money mojo because 24 hours later, after we had that conversation, she went to a network meeting, told people what she did. And just so happened, I mean, how does this happen? Just so happened there was someone that worked for a newspaper, local newspaper, and she said, oh, I would really love to write a column. And she's like, oh, matter of fact, the person that wrote the column is retiring. So guess what? She is a celebrity now. She has her own column, right? And I just love that. And so part of doing that is really creating what I call an accelerated master plan. You know, think about, how do you want to be known in your city? Maybe you want to have a global impact. If you don't write this down, do you know only 3% of people write down their goals? 3%. And so I spent 3 days planning my entire life and how I wanted to leave my legacy. Just this past January, I planned it all out. But it's just amazing how people don't really understand how this works. It's so powerful. It's like you're leaving money on the table. You're doing a disservice to people that you could be helping, not by planning, not by having all these things in these systems down. And she doubled her business by what I call the attraction action factor. So by measuring things, having her money metrics in place, knowing how many people she was connecting with, she was making more money. She's like, I cannot believe this, Heather. I said, that's what happens. When you really have a plan in place and you know what you're doing, it's not rocket science. People try to make it more complicated. And so because she was aligned, I always say she was aligned and she was on fire. And when you're on fire, there are multiple, I should say infinite possibilities that can happen to you. You never know. But if you shut yourself down, shut your mind down, you'll never know what's out there.
Right.
Hold on a second. Oh, excuse me. So when I talk, you can see if we there's coffee here.
Oh, that's easy to happen.
So as I get my my voice back.
You okay?
Oh yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm just sometimes when I talk, I really get excited and my voice just kind of goes there.
Right.
So yeah. I should probably I should probably be standing up for this. It's like, we'll take some questions. I want to get my voice back here.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to point out that Shane LaBelle said that's good. He as you were speaking, he was enjoying your presentation. Charlie S. I don't know if this is Charlie Schmidt out of Renton, but he says, is there a difference in messaging to your natural market, your current customers, versus cold call leads or prospects? Like, what are the key factors for each group?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You have to, I don't know what their business is, and I don't know if they're just picking up the phone. You've got to create, if I was just to pick up the phone cold to someone, I would never want to sell them on anything. So, yes, you really need a system and a process to talk to, clients that you already have, clients that you want to reestablish a relationship with, and those people that don't know you. So yes, there is a difference in your message, because if you pick up the phone and say, oh, I'm so and so, and I'm wanting to know if you want to do business, or you say something that's quote unquote appears to be salesy, it's going to turn off people. So understand that the biggest thing that you could ever do in growing your business is creating relationships. So everything is about creating relationships, and you don't want to have the wrong impression when you are cold calling. So that thing, yeah, that could be really, really tricky if you don't know what you're doing. So first, establish relationship. Do not come, again, it comes from that, do not come from the need.
Right, exactly. Yeah. If it's Charlie Schmidt, he's an insurance agent, and it could be that he's required to do a certain amount of cold calling.
Yeah, and I've worked with insurance people, so part of insurance people, with the people that I've worked with, they hate doing those cold calls, right?
Yeah,
they have a
right.
script, and I will say, if you're going from a script, stop. Do not take what the company standard gives you. It's such a disconnect. So you have to ask yourself, how can I create a better relationship with people if I'm cold calling them? How can I really stand apart from everyone else? Because if someone's calling me up asking me about my insurance, that's going to be such a turnoff. So it's kind of like, I'm going to give you the analogy of, if you're going out on a date for the first time, and you're telling the other person that you want to get married with just having one date.
Yeah.
Really turned off. But yeah, ditch the script, align with in understanding. So one of the things that I teach is how to sell to understand those people, their values, and really how to have a conversation that aligns with that. So a lot of times people don't care about saving money on their insurance, right? They want that protection for other reasons. So don't ever assume. That's like the worst thing that you can do. I can't stand when people assume that, if they're calling me up for whatever. So yeah, just really ditch that script with those prospects. And I will say, if you guys are tired of not attracting more of your ideal clients, one of the things that that I offer is actually a complimentary session to talk about your business, and you can apply for one of those if you go to session with Heather. We'll take some more questions at the end. But what is this? I'm really inspired to find out what people are about in their business. So really identifying if your sales process needs to be tweaked, your online marketing presence, that sort of thing, what your current sales are now, where you want to get to, and what you need to be doing, like the next steps. And a lot of it too is looking at how your mind is aligned. All this ties in. So one of the ways that I work is a very holistic approach. It's not just about the strategy. It's about having a powerful strategy, but also understanding how your mind works in order to be a high performance machine. So if you want to make a certain amount, like you have a quota of how much you want to make per month, if you don't have that strategy down and you're not measuring it and you're not aligned, it's going to be impossible. So anytime people have a fear about money, I want you to know that's just it's really an illusion, because when you have fear, that just means you don't have a plan, or your plan is not strategic enough. So if anyone's listening going, oh my gosh, I really need clients, it means that your plan is not working, or you don't have a good enough plan, and that's why the mind becomes, it's like this monkey mind, right? And you're paralyzed and you don't do anything, you don't take any action. So really look at, if I'm talking to 10 people and 3 people say yes, that you're either not talking to the right people, or you're not feeling confident in your sales conversation. So it's very mental. It's all a mental process. And Becky, if we have any questions, if you have more questions or comments, I'd love to take those at this time.
Okay, Sure, absolutely. So to highlight that, they can go to
Yes,
sessionwithheather.com and
right.
they can set up a time, and how much is that? How much
Oh,
do you
so this
charge
is
for that?
complimentary. Complimentary, but only for the first
Oh,
10 people. So 10 people that sign up, you could have a session with me. It's no charge. It's extreme value. And I will say this, at
wow.
the session, if I find we're a match, I will let you know how we can work together. I do not work with anyone that is not aligned. I've learned that lesson so many years ago. But this session is, so it's about 20 to 30-minute session. I love providing value to people because I know when I do that, it's like it creates a ripple effect. It's like the law of cause and effect. So
Right.
it is extreme. So yeah. So if you've been resonating with my message and my coughing, it goes to the territory. You see, I just get excited. I get excited. I get inspired. I can't help it. But
Yes.
I really love working with those people that really have that on fire. Like, yeah, I really want to do more, be more. Like, I'm really passionate. My highest values are building my business, inspiring others, teaching, traveling, speaking. And if I can help someone else, change in their life and their business, it's so impactful. So that's why I'm here. I'm here for you guys. So
Wow.
that 20 to 30-minute session, it really is life changing. I mean, I've had people email me back going, "Oh my God, this is absolutely amazing," and the shifts, like just the inner shifts, or just having that awareness of what they need to be doing is amazing, and just giving them, that, I wouldn't even say hope, because when they know what's blocking them on a mental level or on a marketing level, it's so easy to go out there and do it. So I help you uncomplicate it.
Wow. So and it would be via phone because we have people
Oh yeah,
in Massachusetts on
yeah.
this. Oh, very
Phone
nice.
or Skype. Yeah, I have clients all over the world. So I have clients
Right,
in
right.
Australia. Yeah. So yeah. So the first 10, I'll make sure that you guys get on my schedule, and you can also go to my website. I've got free gifts and that sort of thing if you go to heatherpicken.com. But the session with heather.com, that'll give you a free, a complimentary session.
Very nice. And it's Heather, Heather,
Yes.
Picken. And I'm
Yes.
saying this because
No,
the
no S.
replay won't show it on the
Oh,
site.
yes,
So yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So to apply for the session, you go to sessionwithheather.com. I'll take the first 10, and then anyone could go to my regular site. I've got a couple different sites, but you can just go to my main one, heatherpicken.com. Send out a lot of different. I've got a lot of free trainings, articles, different things. Also engage with me on Facebook. I'm always connecting with people. But I think I saw another question here.
Yeah, Terry Vesquist says, what is the biggest mistake a person can make when attending a leads group meeting, I take the lead or a
Oh,
similar meeting? I know what mine is trying to sell.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a
What
scenario.
would you think, Heather?
Yes. So let me just kind of walk you through the biggest mistakes I've seen, and it's not just IT,
Yeah.
but other networking meetings.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you introduce yourself, and automatically they introduce themselves and they give you their card. So that's mistake number one. Like, here's my card. Like, I didn't even ask for your card. I never give out my card unless someone asks me, or if we're going around and passing the cards, of course.
Right. Everybody's
Never give out
passing.
my
Right.
card unless someone asks, because why do I want to waste my card on someone that I'm not aligned with just to give my card away? You're not in the business of collecting cards. You're really in the business of, seeing if you can refer people, right? Help people. And if someone's interested, okay, then you can give your card. If you appear that way of just being the card pusher, people will get turned off. So it's like you're repelling people. So don't make that mistake. Do not make the mistake of just, taking someone's business card and then calling them up and assuming they want your business if you haven't had a proper conversation. That will put your phone number on block.
Right.
Very
Exactly.
But yeah, and never come from the need. Remember, need is greed. Money is good. What did gosh, in Wall Street, the movie The Wall Street, Michael Douglas, what did he say? He said money. greed is, I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't
I'd
know.
say, money is not bad. Money is awesome. Money is a great tool. It's a very powerful
Right.
tool, but never come from the need. So just really, you just want to be a rock star networker, and that's what I teach people to do in their business, like, how you can really go out there and make $1 million impression. We could do a whole nother webinar on this, but yeah, just don't make that mistake. That's the single biggest mistake that I see people do, and not cool. Oh, and then adding you to the list, their list, or whatever, when you haven't asked to be added. So I'll typically say, oh, just so or if like, oh, you want to get my gift, I'm going to sign you up for this. Or if I'm giving a talk, I'll say, oh, just so you know, you're going to be added to my list. Yeah, just ask for permission.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Shelley asked, how do you get over the fear of sales pitching?
I love this. I love sales. Sales. So think about your fear. Neil Donald Walsh, when I interviewed him, he wrote the book Conversations with God, and he said fear is nothing but feeling excited and ready. So Shelley, I want you to write that down. Feeling excited and ready. And when you're getting on a call, and I coach so many clients through the sales process, is that you really want to, before you even call someone, I want you to think, how can I help this person? So that's the very first thought. How can I help this person? Because what that does in your brain is allows you to feel more at ease. People have issues picking up the phone and calling, doing sales calls because, oh my God, I'm selling someone something. Well, yeah, if you're coming from that place. So just, say that to yourself. And also, if you're not feeling confident, that tells me you don't have a strong sales conversation. So one of the things that I do in my programs is I show people how to create a conversation, not a pitch fest. It's not a pitch fest. You've got to see if there's a need. If there's not a need, then it's not going to be a match, right? And so you have to ask the right questions. So the quality of your life, I'm sure you've heard this, the quality of your life is really determined by the quality of your questions. If you ask a crappy question, you're gonna get crap back. So ask a really empowering question. I have my clients write really empowering questions based on their industry and what they're selling, and they're amazed how they feel super confident. They don't feel salesy. It's really empowering, and then you just know that your product and service is something that is really of value, right? And so when you value yourself, the world will value you. When you don't, then you minimize yourself. So you never want to minimize yourself on a sales call. And that's like another mindset thing we could go into, but we don't have time now. But you really want to see yourself as equal in connecting with the other person, right? When you're picking up the phone or speaking with them in person.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, we're actually over time.
Oh, okay.
And there aren't any more questions, but I want to thank you, Heather. That was excellent. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure, guys. And I apologize for the coughing. You just gotta roll with it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
I'd love to hear from everyone. Yeah, hit me on Facebook, type in my name, Heather Picken, or just send me an email if you have any more questions, heather@heatherpicken.com, and I'll love to answer those for you guys. But yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.